speech distortion measures. What is a speech distortion? Is of course it refers to some disturbances. Is what is identified to be a disturbances? An alteration of the original speech signal. Yes, I speak on something to a device to give it as a command to that device, but the device is not recognizing properly. Why? Because the reason some distortions could be there. What is identified to be the disturbances that could deviate the original signal? Deviate means what? Not the exact information what I try to give not be received by the device. Okay, and that impacts is. So what could be the impact of the distortion? The clarity is depriving. The clarity will not be there, which the device would able to recognize. For example, is the Alexa or a Siri or whatever. Okay, I give out the command. The clarity is not good, so it's not accepting the proper command, and the intelligibility or the quality will not be recognized or, of course, understood by the device what I try to give it as a command. That is called as a speech distortion. Of course, you know it very well. So where it takes place crucial in the fields like telecommunications, of course. So if the clarity of information is not good, definitely you will not be listening to your music. You will not be listening to a video or audio. You will not be getting into the theatres, and definitely you will not be playing a good gaming. Okay, so even the sound is should not be having a glitching like appearance. Okay, glitch like fields. And the recognition and hearing aids. So is all these makes use of identifying the speech distortion. Shall we move on to the next slide? Yes. The next thing is about the what could be the types of speech distortion. The acoustic, the sound. What I try to give up a sound in a mobile phones. I say that speech signal notes. I say speech signal note is it will be accepting like note is. Okay, so it will be the acoustic, the sound, that what you try to pronounce is also varied, that leads to a distortion or deviation or the disturbance that affects the original signal. I try to give up the speech signal notes, but it is understanding speech signal note is, and so on. Okay, so it refers to the acoustic distortions which is caused by environmental noise and reverberation. So what is reverberation? Yes, my verb is notes. I say speech signal notes, but the verb that take it as recognized by the device as a reverberation. It is taking its verbal activity as that verbal understanding like note is, speech signal note is, so on. Okay, that comes under acoustic distortion. And next is the electrical distortions. You are familiar with the electrical distortions. What you could notice in the speakers at the time of RD even right now. Okay, so the speakers what said, and whenever the signal is passing through the device, due to the disturbance within the electrical arrangement or the electrical designing, what happens? It leads to the distortion. Okay, so that is also a kind. During the transmission of a speech signal, every time people used to go for a mic check, 1, 2, 3 sound check, mic check. Okay, so because it is trying to transmit through some electrical module, that creates some disturbances. Why the reason so is that because it needs to, the supply needs to pass through a number of electronic components that is arranged onto a designed manner, or which are close together, that passes all the power system to all other neighboring components. That leads to some noises. Okay, that also to be considered into effect. Yes, so we are just understanding what could be the types of speech distortion. The next could be the temporal distortions, that includes changes in the timing of the speech signal. You know very well, in the movies and all you have noticed that first the dialogue comes and later the video comes. Okay, and first initially the video comes and later the dialogue. There will not be a proper syncing will be there. So that is a temporal distortion. Okay, changes in the timing of speech. I speak something in my mind, but it takes a bit delay to reach to you people, you being the listeners. Okay, that is one instance. Yes, we see about the spectral distortions. Yes, of course, to the spectrum. Spectrum denotes to the frequency, you know that very well. It affects the frequency components of the signal. Yes, even what I talk, yes, it may get deviated due to the environmental conditions. So I am talking to you. So if the weather supporting area is quite comfortable enough, you will be getting the same exact. You imagine there is a cyclone area, what I try to convey, you will not be getting. So what you said, you will be asking, right? So that is what a spectral distortions could be there. And next is the causes of speech distortion. Yes, of course, due to the environmental noise. The previous slide and this slide refers to the same, of course. This is one such cause of speech distortion, which will be having an environmental noise, the background sounds that interfere with the speech signal. Yes, I am talking. Currently, could you realize there is a distortion surrounded by us? Yes or no? Definitely. What is the distortion surrounded by us? Yes, the fan sound, even the light. If you switch off the light, you realize. If you close out the windows, even you realize a different sound effect. It's a environmental noise. So what could be the cause? You can realize surrounded by the environment. The next one is the transmission errors. So the data loss or the corruption during the transmission. Yes, if you are using a bad quality headset, could you able to listen to the music or the quality will be good? Definitely not. So you try to replace the headset. No, obviously. So what happens there? If your transmission wire suffered a damage or it suffered a breakage, definitely you will be replacing, because it could not transmit the exact original signal, because through the wired system it needs, or even a wireless. A proper antenna connection or the proper definite distance between the Bluetooth and your device is not working. That also leads to a transmission error. You identify so. You know very well, you keep your mobile phone here and you are wearing your headset and you are moving to that place, you could not. Moving beyond the limit of 100-meter distance for your Bluetooth device being connected with your headset and your mobile phones, you could not able to listen to the sound or enjoy the music effectively, because it should be within the definite distance. So that is coming under the transmission. Transmission should have an effective definite distance. Considerably, it varies to the range of the device, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi or some other. Okay, some other. Next is your equipment malfunction. Yes, faulty recording or the playback devices. It also leads to a speech distortion and listener errors, accents. Yes, I say, how are you, everything. So you can understand, but not the normal or the basic village people or the illiterate people could not understand. The accent is different. No? How are you? I say, you can understand. If I ask you, how are you? Yes. Yes, what you said, you will be asking. And if you attend for interviews, you can also listen to their accent will be something different. You will be asking, pardon. Please, can you please repeat? Okay. Some people say that pardon, so on. The accent will be different. That also leads to a causes of speech distortion. What I tried to deliver, you could not get it because of my accent even. I will be having a different accent of style. Okay. And the speech disorders. Yes, now if I started stammering, you could not understand. Okay, you wait and you listen keenly, and that also leads to a speech distortion. And hearing impairments, you know very well. And next, so how to measure the distortion of speech? Yes, you observe what could be the distortion in a speech. The environmental things, the acoustic kinds, the accents, and what else you have. You find it in the transmission, having a definite distance, a quality wired support that is needed, that comes under the transmission. You need not to remember or recall to the points. You understand the logic and write it down. No? And we can measure using the two kinds, what is called as subjective and objective measures. The first kind refers to the signal to noise ratio. What is signal to noise? Yes, I deliver a signal to all the receivers, but I identify not the exact delivering of the signal being delivered to all the destination or the receivers. Why the reason? Because I try to deliver 100%, where only 1% is being consumed by the environmental noises. So what is signal to noise ratio is that? Yes, I will be calculating with the help of signal divided by noise. Signal is 100, but noise is 1%, 0.1. That is what the exact value I can measure. What is the speech distortion? With the help of a ratio, what is called as signal to noise ratio. I repeat, a signal to noise ratio is very, very important aspect of your what? A very important parameter to be measured. The major parameter to be measured in a speech distortion. So whenever we talk about the speech processing or a speech analysis or distortion, signal to noise ratio plays a major role. And I think the EC are familiar with the signal to noise ratio. All others may be non-familiar. You are about to get familiar with the same. Next is the mean squared error and perceptual evaluation of speech quality. You know what is perception? What is your understanding about perception? If I am writing a thing like this, what do you say? Thing like this. You believe that it is the number 6, okay? And that side you believe that it is the number 9. That is what perception is, okay? You perceive, your way of vision. So what I try to write, in your vision you identify it as a number 6. But in your vision, in your perception, what you perceive is that side, if you look into that, it is a number 9. This is what a perception. So the perception, what you perceive, evaluation of speech quality. Yes, every quality of speech is being perceived and it is measured in order to identify the distortion in the speech. And next is what? You have a subjective measures, which is what mean opinion score and ABX testing. That will be discussed later on. We'll go with the objective measures, the primarily signal to noise ratio. So what is signal to noise ratio? Take down ratio of the power of the clean signal to the power of the noise. Yes. Right now, I can measure the signal to noise ratio. I deliver the exact. There is no noise. So my signal to noise ratio is equal to, of course, 1. It is 100. So how we can calculate the signal to noise ratio? 10 into logarithmic value to the base 10 of signal power divided by the noise power. You know the reason why we need to go for a logarithmic approach? Yes, of course. I send the information and that is propagating to the destination through a longest distance or a longer distance. Can I make a call to a foreign country? Yes, of course. It takes up a longest distance. So how can I measure for the longest distance? I just come or get into a limited calculation by using a logarithmic scale or logarithmic approach, as you already was into the understanding of the lecture with the logarithmic approach. Why logarithmic approach is needed? So that's the case. A very, very important formula. It's 10 log to the base 10 of signal power divided by the noise power. So where to make use of a signal to noise ratio to be calculated in order to identify the distortion, and we need to eliminate the distortion later on. Okay? Yes. So now our topic is all about what? Distortion in speech. So how we measure the distortion in the speech is what our important attention. So the applications to assess the clarity of speech signals in the noisy environments, of course. And even the camera is there. So they will be analyzing the noisy environments. Now it is a clean signal. The signal to noise ratio is favor to the management. And once you started talking, they will be identifying and estimating with the help of the recording. So what goes wrong? So whatever is identified to or noted to be a culprit things or a wrong things go on. So they will be magnifying the respective place or the portion and they will be taking action accordingly. Okay, so you know that. And see about the mean squared error, the average of the squares of the difference between original and the distorted signal. So we have a original signal. We need to consider the distorted signal also in order to delete it or eliminate it. So we will be finding out a mathematical analysis, finding what could be the average content that is present as a distortion in a original signal. Yes, with the help of the formula mean squared error, which is equal to 1 divided by n into summation of the original signal minus distorted signal. So the underscore is what is same before. Original signal minus distorted signal the whole square, which means the average of the squares of the difference between the original and the distorted signals. It is useful for measuring the accuracy of the speech reconstruction algorithms. Move on to the next slide.